This is Dave's Corner, episode 20, part 2, the movie reviews, which I'm going to pretty much jam-pack with a bunch of movies because I've been trailing behind on all these movies, and I think that I should just make one giant collage. I'll try to keep it short, and I'm going to keep it sweet. I've been having a hell of a busy weekend. Today is the Oscars, and that's how up ahead I am. I'm going to be watching the Oscars. On episode 21, I'll be talking about the SAG Awards, and I'll probably squeeze in the Oscars as well. And yesterday, I was at the Fanfare New York City 2020, which is kind of like a small Comic-Con, a very small Comic-Con. And just a bunch of things that I would like to talk about that I will be talking about in real time reviews when I get that started, which I am working on it after this. But yes, without further ado, let's start this movie review, and I'll let you know about some of the movies that I thought were good, bad, horrible, whatever, and I'll give you a short synopsis of what the movie is about and the history behind it. The first movie I want to talk about is a 2020 horror film that was released about a month ago, called The Grudge. If you have any idea about the Grudge series, this movie originated, which I saw, in Japan, and it was known as Ju-On. Ju-On, later on, they made a sequel called Ju-On Part 2, and they have made a series of films in the Japanese market, not to mention the Chinese market, and all these other different countries took their hands and decided to dip their little greedy fingers to try to make their own versions of it. They have Saduku, they have all these different things, which is literally, they even made a live version of how we had the Freddy vs. Jason movies and all those other movies where Alien vs. Predator. Well, they had translated in English, The Ring versus The Grudge, which is the two chicks, I guess. I haven't seen those yet. I've only seen the Ju-On and Ju-On 2. And I've seen Ringu and Ringu, I believe Ringo, which was the originals of The Ring. But I don't want to get too far into talking about or sidetracked. Let's talk about The Grudge 2020. The Grudge 2020 was a film that was kind of like a spin-off. You can actually call it a spin-off. It had John Cho in it, which is probably the only character that I can actually remember of the movie that was probably a name, as in a big name. I mean, they had the girl from the lady from the Insidious movies, which I forgot her name at all. I forgot. I'll put her name somewhere around here. But the movie is about it follows. This is supposed to be like a prequel of before the first Grudge with Sarah Michelle Gellar. So there is a woman that used to take care of the house that Sarah Michelle Gellar eventually goes in there. And no, I know you're thinking it's the Asian girl that gets killed at the beginning of the movie. No, there was another woman that was there before the Asian girl that comes in there. I forgot the name of the Asian girl as well. I haven't seen the movie in a while. I know that that I say that I always watch my movies and all that stuff. I saw the movie years ago. I don't have to watch it over again. I just forgot the name of the girl. But there was another woman that was there before the Asian girl that gets killed at the beginning of the first Grudge movie with Sarah Michelle Gellar. Turns out that woman was called back to the States, and she, because of her husband or something like that. But the thing is, the tag of the movie is "In the Grip of a Rage." In the grip of a rage, so when somebody's murdered, a grudge starts or something like that. So anybody who steps foot in that house, the spirit of this murdered ghost, female or whatever, attaches to you. So I guess the spirit went along with her all the way to the United States and followed her into the house and eventually poisoning her to kill her husband and her kids. So now that grudge is in the United States and it lives in that house. So anybody who steps foot in that house is literally killed off. This movie takes place in three different segments. There's the past, the present, and the future, which the movie made. It was literally a horrendous piece of continuation. I can't even say. I mean, the Grudge one was good. I thought the Grudge one was good, but when they made the Grudge two, that was. I mean, I can actually say I went to the theaters and I was let down. They went on and they made a part three, but it went straight to DVD or straight to blue. No, I don't think it's Blu-ray existed at the time. I know it was DVD and videotape. And I remember that being an actual scarier film than the second one. And then when I found out that they were making this one, I thought it was a reboot. I thought they were gonna like reintroduce the character and the whole Sarah Michelle Gellar thing. And when you see the trailers, you actually see like okay, they show certain scenes that seem like they just putting it on this film with a male instead of a female, which was done in the first one by Sarah Michelle Gellar, like the whole hand in the back of her head, and then in this one is John Cho and has a hand in the back of his head. But the movie was such a huge letdown. Everything was, they even took away the Asian ghost, and now they made it an American ghost. I guess they're trying to do the whole, oh yeah, I came to the United States, now this girl is the one who holds the ghost and everything. They rushed it so much. First of all, it made no sense. Number two, they rushed it to quick to the ending so you can have a continuation type story. They thought this was going to be like a big hit. I mean, honestly, I haven't looked at the numbers. I can just tell you by my own experience and my own thoughts, the movie was a horrendous piece of crap. If they make a sequel to this movie, honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know. I can actually make a horror movie better than that. Or I can actually make a movie better than that. I mean, and I'm not skilled at all when it comes to the art of movie magic. I know very little. I took intro to TV production when I was in high school, and doing this video and all these videos and all that stuff. I'm learning little by little, but honestly, I can probably make a bigger blockbuster hit than they did with The Grudge, because The Grudge was just horrendous. It was a horrendous piece of work. But yeah, that's my own personal opinion. The movie is definitely out of the theater. It should be hitting, I believe, Redbox or one of those streaming networks soon. So if you want to check it out, by all means, go ahead. But I'm just fair warning you, the movie sucked. I give it 2 thumbs down. So there you go. That's my review on The Grudge. I want to talk about is a Kristen Stewart-led film. All right, so this year we had 2 films which had Kristen Stewart. I mean, Kristen Stewart does not have, leading starlet, credits. That's why Charlie's Angels was such a flop. Honestly, to tell you the truth, Kristen Stewart is kind of like a has-been. Her fame really came when she was in the Twilight series, and after the Twilight series ended, everybody has pandered, has literally destroyed her career in the sense that she probably destroyed her herself because she really can't act. And they're trying to push her on us so bad, trying to make her this rock star. But honestly, she's just horrendous. When the Charlie's Angels movie came out, they had her, they had Naomi Scott, who only has really 2 movies under her belt that have been big blockbuster films. I mean, she's had names in other movies, but the main ones was Power Rangers, which was a flop. And Aladdin, and although Aladdin was a major film and it got a lot of recognition, she was a character that was literally, although she was the female character and she could have stood out more, the one who pushed that character was Will Smith. She was like overshadowed. So they put her in this film, and like, okay, these are fairly unknown actresses or has-beens, and then you got Elizabeth Banks, who is leading the pack of this film, and she directed it. Elizabeth Banks does not have enough star power to push this movie forward, so obviously that's why the movie flopped. Now, that's not the movie I'm going to talk about. The movie that I'm going to talk about, that I'm going to put the picture right here, is Underwater, which was an underwater aliens flick. Starts off with Kristen Stewart doing her morning things or whatever, or I don't even know what time this was because they're underwater, you can't really see the day, and then all of a sudden this huge explosion, and just like in the trailer, they're running for their lives and all this other stuff. She hooks up with survivors, and then they have to find a way to ascend. to the top of the waters. But then they find out that there is underwater creatures that are killing them off and pretty much, yep, getting rid of them. And that's it's a whole survival story. I personally believe the movie was definitely entertaining. I enjoyed it. It was definitely a lot better than Charlie's Angels. But Kristen Stewart does not have enough star power to carry a film. I enjoyed it. It was way better than her average work. But the movie still lacks something. And unfortunately, I don't think I haven't checked the numbers. But I know it's definitely out of the theaters right now. I can tell you it was an interesting and entertaining film. That's all. One of the main things that I left out of the theater feeling definitely bothered about was the fact that when we saw the action sequences with the water and I mean with the monsters and them being fighting and the explosions and stuff, the water got very murky and you couldn't see anything that was going on. And I understand they probably wanted to do the whole realism thing where water does get murky and it's just kind of creepy, lost in the water and all that stuff. But that's the thing. I didn't get to see anything. So for the most part, I was kind of visually blinded. And I'm looking, and I can't find nothing to focus on until the water would calm down, and then, boom, it would continue. The monsters were a little interesting and stuff, and there's a couple of sequences that make you jump. But all in all, I think I would give it a thumbs up and a thumbs down. It's a definite watch if you want to watch it. Well, a movie should be coming out on some kind of streaming network soon. So, I mean, give it a watch if you feel. I mean, you don't have to waste the money to go on the theaters. You can probably watch it for free online. If you see it and you like it and you feel that I'm full of crap, let me know. I mean, I enjoyed it for what it was. It kept me on the edge of my seat. It's just, I don't see Kristen Stewart as a lead actress, and I don't think she'll ever be a lead actress unless she reinvents herself. But that's pretty much my own opinion. Let me know what you think. Alrighty. So being that we are in the Oscars, I saw this movie. I saw it when it first came out. I remember when the Oscar nominations dropped and they were talking about that. Actually, I think it was the Golden Globes. They said that 1917 was being nominated as blah, blah, blah. But the movie hadn't even dropped yet. So that means that the Academy or all these people already had seen it and they were like raving about it. So I finally, a week later, the movie dropped. I went to go see it. It was called 1917, directed by Sam Mendes. Acted by unknown people. But they were calling the movie visually stunning and all this stuff. And I thought, the thing is that I like to go into movies with nothing in here. I like to go in there not expecting it to be a big film, great, and all that stuff, so I can get the full experience of it. But so many people have blown this movie up more, so I was over here expecting for it to be, a grandiose, and it was for the most part. It was very grandiose. One of my favorite things was the illusion of the camera continuously following these two guys throughout the whole film, because it's an illusion. A lot of people are like, "Oh my God, I can't believe that they actually recorded these people go through every single thing." Like that's how you know you don't know how movies work. In the film industry, they do that, but they find this like really nifty ways to cut so they can make the next scene. Because honestly, if they were to shoot the whole film from front all the way to back, these people couldn't make a mistake at all. They would have to speak fewer words and do everything perfect. They would have to train for at least a year without making no mistakes in order to record the film without any flaws, so they can shoot a continuous shot. So what the director does is that he goes, and then he'll like literally get so close to like somebody's shoulder that you wouldn't even notice that he just cut right there. There's one scene in the movie where one of the soldiers is running through the bridge, and he jumps into the water. That right there, you can tell that was definitely a cut because it was CGI'd. You see him running, and All in all, the film was definitely cinematography heaven. Everything about it, like just one of my favorite sequences is one toward the end when he's running through the battlefield and all these explosions are happening. That's not I'm not revealing anything that the trailer hasn't, because the trailer shows the sequence where he's running through the field and there's all these explosions. To actually see that on a big screen, it's pretty intense. The story just, to me, it dragged a little bit. I just there was a lot of conversations that was going on. I wish they would have conversated a little bit about what they were doing so I can keep focused on it. I went to watch the movie. Out of work, I was really tired. I sat there on my AMC A-list Dolby chair and I dozed off for a quick second. Thank God that the movie is online and I was able to catch the little piece that I missed. But all in all, the movie was a good film. I can see why he's being nominated for best screenplay, or no, not best screenplay, best film, best and best director. I just saw that. I just thought, without spoiling anything, I just thought there was a couple of scenes there that weren't a little lifelike or realistic. But that's just me. But the movie definitely was a definite watch. You have to be really down to watch this film because it's a war epic. Not a lot of women will like this type of stuff, or not a lot of kids will like this type of stuff. You have to really be into it. Even guys, you have to be into war epics in order to enjoy this film. I mean, I enjoyed it simply because I'm an avid movie watcher. Even Sam Mendes himself, because I did research on it. Sam Mendes said this movie was based on his grandfather's stories. Alfred Mendes. If you see at the end of the film, there's a credit to his grandfather. His grandfather he was in the war, and he was one of those mail carriers. So he decided this is not based on his grandfather, but it's based on his grandfather's stories. Like, he decided to put two unknown guys to do this little travel around to deliver this message. And what happens. His grandfather used to tell these stories to them, and he wanted to do something for his grandfather, and that's how we got 1917. The movie is still out in the theaters. It's definitely going to be out for a little bit longer because of the Oscar noms. Like I said, tonight's the Oscars. So if you haven't seen it, take a look at it. I believe that it's on Blu-ray now as well. It's on streaming sites, so you could definitely watch it. But yeah, definitely check it out. I thought it was a good movie, except for those little minor mishaps. I mean, those can be excused. But the movie was an actual good flick. Okay, continuing on. This movie, I thought, should have been nominated. If not, then it should get nominated for next year's Oscars. Jamie Foxx and Michael B. Jordan in Just Mercy. I did avid research on this story because this is based on a true story of a man who had a past. He cheated on his wife with white women and all this other stuff. So he had some kind of troubles with the law and stuff. So right at the beginning of the movie, you see that he's getting arrested for something. We don't know what's going on, but in the real story, they were arresting him because of the fact that this woman was killed, shot, and somebody pointed him, fingered him, the culprit, and made the police believe that he was the one who killed her. So this man was taken into prison, and he served a good time on the prison, and he was even on death row. It goes up there with When They See Us. It goes up there with all those type of movies where people are the movie Convicted. Where people are accused of something and they have to spend time in jail. And I mean, these are all based on true stories. It's crazy how this stuff actually still happens. You got Brian Banks, that film. These are all people who actually have been fingered culprits, and they are innocent people in the jail system, serving time for something they didn't do. So this movie, Just Mercy, same thing happened with this gentleman. Michael B. Jordan plays the character of this brand new lawyer who is looking into, helping poor people who are in jail, who are facing death. And he just happens to attach himself to two of the inmates. Unfortunately, one doesn't make it, but he's able to help out. The character Jamie Foxx plays, which I forgot his name, but I'll post it up here. But the movie was well acted, well rounded out. It really touched me. It was just so much in this story, and it made me root for like, I want justice to be served, like the Justice Society. I mean, not the Justice Society. I'm sorry, this is not DC, but justice is just so, like, in the 90s and in the 80s and other stuff, like, so much the judicial system just got away with so much crap by just putting people in jail and, like, throwing away the key, while other people are running around doing people who actually committed murders and crimes were running around free. And then there was a poor sucker in jail crying because he's not seeing his family. Look at Richard Jewell, the same stuff. People are so quick to try to find a reason to throw away the key and throw somebody in jail just so they can close the case shut, and boom. And that's what Just Mercy was about as well. It kills me to see these type of stories because it's so unfair how, that's why we as minorities, we think like, okay, we're not safe from bad guys and the cops because everybody's out to get us. They see us as poor people and they're like, all right, well, whatever. Pfft, throw away the key. The movie was amazing. It had a great ending. Unfortunately, the real guy who played this role is not with us. He died, but he got to live a good life with his excuse me. He got to live a good life with his family after he was released. Movie is not in the theaters. At least I don't believe so anymore. I think I saw it in New York somewhere, but I haven't seen it here in Elizabeth, or maybe in some theaters as well. But I do believe that it might be going on streaming services soon. So check a look at it. Let me know what you guys think. I thought it was a great movie. 2 thumbs up. Michael B. Jordan, Jamie Foxx should have been nominated. Should have at least been recognized for something by the Academy. But then again, we all know that the Oscars and certain other awards are kind of racist. So what can you do? This is the society we live in. That I want to talk about is an epic film that I started watching back in '96, I believe was the first one, and then 7 years later came out the second one. And then how many years later comes out the third one? Bad Boys for Life. Starring Will Smith and Martin Lawrence. What more can I say? If you haven't seen it yet, go watch it. It's not directed by Michael Bay. Michael Bay did the first two, and that's what made those two so amazing. This was not. It's not that this one is any bad or any worse or anything like that, but it was just I don't know. I felt like there was something missing, and definitely the whole Don Simpson and Michael Bay absence was felt. But Will Smith, Jerry Bruckheimer, Martin Lawrence were all in it, and it was the next adventure of the aging set of cops. It is known now that they have confirmed that they're doing a fourth one. With the ending of part 3, they left it open for something, and with that ending, they already knew they were gonna have another one. But yeah, I can't say anything more than just wow, cool. Definitely up for another Bad Boys. But yeah, I can't really say anything more. I give it 2 thumbs up. Great action movie. Great to see the guys back together. Watch it. It's still in the theaters. Alright, my next film is a little film right after the success of Avengers Endgame. Robert Downey Jr. signed on to do this other film. Now, like I said, I know that the Dolittle movies are based on books. They're not based on them Eddie Murphy movies. I'm sorry. A lot of people are like, wait a minute, this makes no sense. Are they really remaking Eddie Murphy? No. The Doctor Dolittle was an old classic film made in the I think it was the 40s or the 60s. Then they remade it with Eddie Murphy and they made it a comedic movie, which was okay. I'm not gonna say it was a comedic piece of crap, but after part two, the movies just got really stupid, with Eddie Murphy's daughters taking over for him. So years later, obviously, with the CGI and all that stuff, ever rising, they decided to actually make the Doctor Dolittle character based on the books, which is Doctor. It's the books are called The Voyages of Doctor Dolittle. There's like a series of books, mainly for kids. I've listened to just about all of them. Yeah, they are for kids, but these books were written way back in the day when it within the this I guess the slavery era, or probably the I don't know, the racial era, because there was, as I was listening to this, listening to the audio of this book, there's a couple of scenes where they talk about Africa, and they talk about black people, and they mention the N word and all this stuff, and I was just like, what, and there was this African prince who wanted to be white and all that stuff. I was like, whoa, seriously? I never had heard racism in a book, and yeah, this was thrown in there. But yeah, so I was listening to the books. The books were very magical, other than that whole racial thing. And then when I went to go see the movie, it was just so bland and boring. I know that Robert Downey Jr. will sell the movie, but I just the adventure of Doctor Dolittle was just really. I mean, I can see that it followed the books, but it still was just so bland and boring. And I mean, I would have to be literally a child to be interested in any of this stuff. I was watching it, trying to get, the whole drift of it, trying to hope, because the trailer just made it look so grand and expanded and beautiful and all that stuff. I'm like, I definitely have to watch this. But, yeah, and I mean, the polar bear. Polar bear was voiced by John Cena. Even the polar bear couldn't act. I'm saying, John Cena is such a bad actor. I really hope that this whole Fast and the Furious 9 really hits it big for him, because, I mean, he was bad in Bumblebee. He was bad in The Marine. He's just been bad in everything. I mean, he's only done comedies, and comedies is just funny. His comedies are funny, but when he tries to be dramatic or a kick-ass action star, it just doesn't work. I really hope that Fast and the Furious 9 hits it big for him. But just Doolittle, to me, I give it 2 thumbs down. But it's a good movie for kids. If you want, you can take your child, your kid. The movie's still on in the theaters, I believe, in some places. You can take your children and go watch this movie. And you know what? Alrighty, moving on. The next movie I want to talk about is by a little known director that I personally like because of my friend Marty, known as Guy Ritchie. He's done a set of films, all these British films like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, Snatch, the Rock and Roller. He's just done so many epic British ensemble satire films that they're so character driven. They have these foolproof stories, and they're like pieces by every character, and then everybody's so important to the film. Not like the X-Men movies that there was like one main character here, and then there's like 50 other characters that have one word to say. No, and in Guy Ritchie's films, he always has every character that he needs in the film say something and do something for which the movie requires. For a quick minute, he kind of sold out, and he started doing the kind of like commercial films. He did Sherlock Holmes 1, Sherlock Holmes 2, Aladdin. He did, I believe it was King Arthur and the Legend of the Sword. And his last film was Aladdin before he decided to go back to his whole ensemble satire filmmaking, and it was The Gentleman with Matthew McConaughey and a couple of other guys that are Mark Strong was in there. You had the dude from the dude from the Sons of Anarchy, and it was just such a Hugh Grant. It was such a great film. I mean, it was a breath of fresh air to actually see him go back to his roots. Now it gives me hopes because maybe he'll go back to do the sequel of Rock and Rolla, which was one of my favorite movies that he did. I'll tell you a quick story about it. I remember that my friend Marty made me a copy of Rock and Rolla, and it was my go-to movie every time we went clubbing, and I would get drunk or I would be some kind of under the influence. I would come home, and that would be the movie that I would watch that would set me to sleep. It was the last thing that I was watched before I went to sleep, and it was such a great film. The gentleman carried the same type of story driven by the characters. It's just so many pieces over here, and it's 1 minute you think that you got it figured out, and no, it's another thing that piles on, kind of like Knives Out. But yeah, Gentleman was a great film. Definitely go check it out if you're into those intellectual type films that challenges your mind and makes you like look, oh, what's gonna happen next? What's gonna happen next? That's the type of movie for you. So go check that out. Let me know. It's still in the theaters, I believe. And let me know what you guys think because I thought it was one of the greatest films to come out this year. I give it 2 thumbs up. Alrighty, continuing on. Henry James is an author who wrote the book The Turn of the Screw, which I listened to the audio because I wasn't really interested in reading this book, and I could tell you why. It was written way back in the day, I believe maybe in the early 1900s or probably in the 18th century, I don't know. But I listened to the audiobook, and oh my gosh, the audiobook was so excruciating. It was very slow. It's about these ghosts that are looking for these 2 children, and this nanny who comes to live with them and trying to help him out. And it's just so much going on in the book that I had to there would be times where I'm listening to the audio, but I trailed away and it just bored the crap out of me. But I got through it, finished it. Then I listened to like a live radio, not a live, but like a radio broadcast that was given by the BBC, and that was a little shorter. It was an hour. The other one was like literally, I think it was 3 hours. 3 hours? I forget. No, 8 hours. Yeah, I listened to it. But I heard the BBC broadcast, and it was an hour, and they cut everything short, which was way better. So obviously, that was preparing myself to go see The Turning, which was a film which starred Mackenzie Davis. It had Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, and a couple of other unknowns like the older nanny and the little girl. And it was about obviously what I said, the book. It was about this nanny. It's more obviously they make it in modern day. This nanny who goes to take care of these 2 kids who are rich, and these kids are kind of like spoiled little brats, and later on you find out that they are kind of like demented, and they are being literally cradled by these 2 ghosts who honestly in the trailer it makes you think that this movie is going to be like terrifying and scary, but the movie was horrendous. It was so bad that honestly I sat there and I was like, wow, I can't believe they wasted money on making this piece of crap. The movie has gotten critically panned in the theaters by critics, and the book wasn't any good, so I don't know why they thought that the movie would be good. I guess they thought that going the whole spiritual route and trying to scare people was going to be a good thing, but honestly, it didn't work. It was bad. I can give you 2 thumbs down right off the bat. This is the second flop for Mackenzie Davis. Hopefully, she's able to hit something big because Mackenzie Davis is a promising actress. She was the Terminator, or the good Terminator in the prototype or the enhanced human for Terminator Dark Fate. So, but that, as you know, that was a big flop too. So hopefully this won't hurt her career. But Finn Wolfhard, he's been doing a lot of good other films other than this crap. But I really don't want to give you too much about the movie because honestly, to tell you the truth, I don't know if you want to watch it. But yeah, it is about spirit, ghosts, and these kids are demented and spoiled brats, and Mackenzie Davis just tries to get the whole house in order. Eventually putting her life in the mix of everything. But I give it 2 thumbs down. If you want to watch it, yeah, it's still in the theaters. Or you can just wait to stream it. Let me know what you think. Next film that I want to talk about is another movie that I read the book. Well, I didn't read the book. I was listening to the audio because there's another book that I didn't really care much for. But I was listening to the audio, and later on I found out that it was a book series. There's 5 books to it. And it's done by Mark Burnell. And it's known as The Rhythm Section. Starred Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' wife. So I'm thinking right off the bat, this is going to be one of those like, La Femme Nikita type movies. Because I saw the trailer and I was like, okay, this is one of those European movies where the girl comes from the ghetto and she's probably a hooker or a homeless girl, and then she gets trained and she's a real kick-ass fighter and all this stuff. She becomes an agent and all that stuff. Fortunately, that's not what the movie was. As I read the book, as I listened to the book, I still haven't finished it, but there was so much at the beginning of her in the life of being a hooker, and then how she, decided to go and find out what she needs to find out, and then eventually she becomes trained and all that stuff. There's so much in the book, but in the movie, they cut all the beginning of the movie, all the beginning of the book, and they made it into a short little piece in the movie, and then they throw her over here to get trained, and then boom, right there. And I'm like, all right. To me, they messed up the movie. But then again, not a lot of people know about the book. So, obviously, a lot of people are going to be like, well, don't read the book first. Watch the movie first, then read the book. I don't do that. I can't do that. It's just, I like to see things come to life in front of me. Like when I've read Doctor Sleep and then I saw the movie, that was a beautiful representation of the book. When I read Stephen King's It, yeah, the first part of the movie wasn't so much in the book, but the second part, they had such a big part of the book inside that I loved the whole fact that it was coming to life before my eyes. So Rhythm Section, yes, it had a lot of pieces from the book, but it was the most important and good pieces were all edited. Rhythm Section is one of those okay, I won't say it's a love-hate thing for me. I guess I would have to say it's thumb down, thumb sideways. It's more of like a okay type feeling of the movie. If you want to go see it, the movie's definitely still on the theaters. It came out 2 weeks ago. I haven't checked the numbers, so I don't know how it's doing. But if worst comes to worst, I mean, if you're into those whole spy thing type movies, it's definitely worth a shot to go check out. You might like it. I wasn't too keen on it. I thought it was an okay film. It wasn't too great. I like my spy characters to be on the up and up, and I want them to kick ass eventually. So I did not get that from this movie, and maybe they're gonna do it in the next one, Chameleon. I have no idea. Maybe if this one hits it big, we'll get a whole series of them. I mean, kind of like the Bourne series. The Bourne series only took the Bourne Identity character and maybe the beginning of the Bourne Identity book, and they made a series of films that none of them follow the books. So they just made their own movies with the name. So maybe that's what they're going to do with the Rhythm Section. Who knows? I don't know. But like I said, I left you with, it's an okay movie. It wasn't a great movie. It didn't have me jumping up and down. I wasn't going, yeah, the greatest film in the world. The next movie that I want to talk about is being hailed as the best horror movie of 2020, which is really not much saying because there's only been one other one and maybe a couple other ones that haven't come out. But yeah, I can actually say that it was kind of creepy. The music, the soundtrack was by far my favorite because it was just the whole thing just carried straight through. But if you've ever seen the movie Midsommar or Hereditary, it kind of had the same feel. It's called Gretel and Hansel, A Grim Fairy Tale. Obviously, if you know me, I did my audiobook read, and I listened to the original Hansel and Gretel story, which is pretty much. I don't want to tell you too much about the book because I'm going to have my own book report on that. But it follows the story, but changes it a lot because the original story is called Hansel and Gretel, and they're both the same age. But here they made it Gretel and Hansel, which is they made Gretel an older female and Hansel a younger male. Now, they changed the story up why they end up in the forest. Let's just say that she has to go do something she doesn't agree with, and the mom goes kind of bipolar. So instead of living in this bipolar house, she takes her brother, and they end up looking for another place to start a new life. The night catches them outside, so they have to find some kind of shelter. They stay in this supposed abandoned house, and that's where you find out that there's mystical creatures or demonic creatures out in these woods because something attacks them. So they make a break for it. Eventually, they run into this another house where it's not made out of gingerbread, but it's just a regular house, but there's a beautiful scents coming from inside, which is beautiful, delicious food. They end up breaking into the house. This woman ends up finding them. She ends up taking them in, trying to supposedly be like a mother to them. Turns out that the woman has an alternative for the girl. For the boy, she has a whole other story. The girl finds out about her motives, and she does what she has to do to do what she has to do, which I just totally told you the story without telling you anything about the story. But if you know the story of Hansel and Gretel, then you pretty much know what happens. But it was very unsettling. The images, you see some images that are very out of the ordinary. It was kind of creepy. I won't say that it was the scariest film, but I guess at this point, yeah, because everything else has sucked. The soundtrack was very great. Gretel is portrayed by the girl who was in the film It. She also played Nancy Drew. I forgot her name. I'll put her name somewhere up here. Yeah, the film, I will have to give it kind of I don't know if I want to say it was this. I want to say it's this or maybe this and this, because it did have me intrigued. It did have me interested. It had me right here. So if it had me there, I can't say it was a bad movie. It's just very unsettling. I don't know why I feel weird to say the movie was great when it was I don't know, I feel it was scary. It wasn't scary, but I feel like it was demonic for me to say it's a thumbs up. But the movie was definitely good. The movie's still definitely in the theaters. If you're into the whole scary horror genre type thing, definitely go check it out. I can't say it was this direct take on the Hansel and Gretel story, kind of their own version, their own interpretation of the film. Yeah, it's not meant for kids. And if you're scared, definitely don't go see this movie. But it was good overall. And now for the final movie that I saw, I'm all caught up now. Birds of Prey, The Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. If you know me, I'm Harley Quinn all day. So this was a great film to explore the character of Harley Quinn. I think it should have just been called either Harley Quinn meets the Birds of Prey or Harley Quinn and the Birds of Prey. I just don't think they should have named it the Birds of Prey, because this was more of a of an origin type story where they all get together for the very first time. I loved Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, obviously. I love the whole take on it, the rated R effect of it. You had blood, you had cursing, you had action, you had violence. It was just awesome. I loved Black Canary, the take on Black Journey Smollett's Belle. Oh my gosh, my favorite Black Canary. She is such a gorgeous female. It's just that's another one of my favorite DC characters. You got Harley Quinn and Black Canary. I felt that they did not. For those two other characters, I felt like they treated them with respect. Obviously, you have this whole selected DC universe that they have decided to like break apart from the whole Snyderverse and everything, trying to make their own, films, their standalone films and stuff like that. One character that I feel they could have treated a little better and given her a better backstory and something more than just like, all right, I'm here, all right, I'll join you, all right, was her Helena Bertinelli. Excuse me. All right. They did give her a brief backstory, but nothing too keen, nothing too like, oh yeah, to grasp on. Helena Bertinelli is just one of 3 huntresses. So you see her throughout the movie. They're foreshadowing her. Eventually, she does join the group, but she really doesn't have nothing to say. She was just like just a character to just throw in there to like eventually fill in the gap, Excuse me. Wow, my throat. I did not like the character of Cassandra Cain. I know that eventually she becomes Batgirl, but I just thought that they could have chosen somebody way more interesting, way more fit, and somebody a little cuter. And that's not me being racial or anything like that. It's just that this girl just didn't fit the role for me. Now, my biggest letdown, obviously, Huntress was a letdown for me, but my biggest letdown was the fact that we have yet to see Black Mask be introduced into the DC Universe on film. So, we finally get his introduction. In the comics, he's portrayed as this huge mobster type, killer type guy, and to me, he's always seemed kind of like a resemblance somehow of the Two-Face. And he's introduced in this movie, and Victor Zsasz is also introduced to the movie, and Victor Zsasz is also introduced, as shown in the comics, as this notorious serial killer who literally, when he kills somebody, he scars himself. I always saw these two as like people you don't want to mess with, or people you don't want to even get near, because they will snap and kill you. They finally introduced these two characters, and they're very flamboyant and very homosexuous, or they're very homosexual, like, and I don't mind that you got your homosexual characters in there, but come on, man, this is Black Mask and Victor Zsasz. Like, you could have made Joker a homosexual character, I mean, or somebody else. Like, come on, man. They even Ewan McGregor was interviewed, and they asked him, do you guys see your characters kind of homosexual? And Victor Zsasz was trying to go around, the guy who played Victor Zsasz was trying to go around the question, pretty much being ominous and not trying to like give a full answer. But Ewan McGregor said, yeah, we're lovers. And that's pretty much what's shown in the movie, and that really pissed me off that the first introduction to the Black Mask and Victor Zsasz in the DC cinematic universe, you get 2 homosexuals. And I'm sorry, I'm not knocking you homos, or you the gay people, the gay community, or whatever. By all means, it's awesome. If they get the characters that are gay, okay, whatever. I have nothing against that. But these 2 dark, gritty characters, I don't know, man. To me, that was just such a letdown. And then even when they could have made more of them, they were just easily out of the movie, and it's like it really let me down. But beyond all, Harley Quinn, Black Canary, Birds of Prey was was a tasty treat, like I called the movie Speed Racer. it was a tasty treat of a good time. You know, Margot Robbie sold it again. Awesome to see her still kicking butt. She's going to reprise her role in the new Suicide Squad movie that's coming out, but with James Gunn. So I'm pretty excited about that. And yep, let's just keep it going, man. I just seen all these movies. I haven't really dropped reviews in a while, so I decided to just throw everything together and just get it all together. Now I am going to be doing my book reviews, and I'm going to be doing my my first in real time review, which will be done probably about sometime in this week. But yeah, tonight is the Oscars 2020. Who do you think is going to win? I know that a lot of people are hating on the Oscars, being that they feel that the Oscars are very racial. But I mean, it's still there, I guess. You know, the SAG Award, and my next Dave's Corner, I'm going to be talking about the SAG Awards. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to watch the BAFTAs or the Spirit Awards because I was doing other things. But yeah, you know what? Just let me know what you guys think. Corner, part 2 of episode 20, the reviews. Drop a like, subscribe, let me know what you guys think. It's awesome to work for you guys and give you guys reviews. I love this. I've chosen to do this, and being yesterday at Fanfare, I took so much appreciation speaking to podcast people and all these other people, and just they gave me a newfound love for this type of stuff. So yep, I will be in this year. I'll be bringing more things. I'm going to be dropping a logo soon. I'm going to have a little shirt made, and I'm going to be doing a lot more, so just to provide for you guys. And you guys let me know what you guys think. Give me feedback. You know, it's always good to listen to you guys' feedback. I know that my stuff isn't like up to par with some of the other guys, but you know what? There's only room for improvement, right? All right, guys. You guys have a good night. I'll see you guys in the next episode.